Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff and welcome to a really cool review. Today we're taking a look at the Exodus Knife and Tools Jackalope, made by White River Knives. Before we get too far into this knife was sent to me by my good buddy Zach. Thank you so much. If you have not seen the unboxing for this knife, you should check that out because I didn't know this was coming. This was a complete surprise, and it was a very, very welcome surprise. It was really, really awesome. I have kind of fast-tracked this knife to the forefront of my reviews of all the fixed blades that he sent this year because I have carried this knife a lot. Spent a lot of time with it, and I know it pretty well, and I'm ready to give it a review. So let's go ahead and get started with our blade length measurements as always. Sharpened edge is coming in here at about 3 3/4 inches. Overall blade length down to the scales is just a smidge over 4 inches. So this knife is not a big knife. It's not a small knife. You've got a lot of edge here to work with. It's a very slim profile. It's very long. It's an interestingly proportioned knife, and we'll talk about proportions more as we go on. Okay, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Let's compare it against our rats, as always. I think this is just a good spot to start with all size comparisons. There you go. It's long, but it's very narrow and slender. Let's go ahead and bring out the Benchmade Bug Out and the Spyderco PM2. Sweet. And let's bring out some fixed blade comparisons because I think those are going to be a little more pertinent. All right, let's start off with the Bark River Gunny Sidekick that we reviewed not too long ago, also sent to the channel by Zach. Let's bring out the Civivi Storm Ridge, also sent by Zach. Review either coming soon or it's already out. I'm not sure what time you guys will be seeing this video. And let's just bring out two more just for the heck of it. First one, let's bring out another knife that I've been spending a lot of time carrying and abusing. This is a very good knife company, Hornet, and a knife that is similar to this knife in a lot of ways that I don't really like showing on the channel that much, but the Sadok EDC Matt Gentry clone. Very kind of similar ethos in design between these two, but this is my preferred one now. All right, so what are we looking at for our materials here? Well, we have a Cerakote S35 VN drop point blade with some crazy tie-dye G10 scales. Our sheath is Kydex, pancake style with a leather backing here. We'll talk about all of that here in a little bit. For now, let's go cut some stuff. Hey guys, you ready to do some review cutting? Boy, I sure am. Out here on the 4th of July in San Lorenzo Canyon. Just recorded an adventure video about this place. I love this place. This is one of my favorite places to come and just hang out. I was expecting it to be way more crowded on the 4th of July, but it's not. It's been beautiful out here. Nice and warm, but that's not an issue for me. You might see I'm all wet. People ask me all the time, Gideon, what's your biggest piece of advice for, going and enjoying the desert the way you do? Because I'm always out and about, running around in 100-degree plus weather. And the answer is really boring, but it's simple. Drink lots and lots of water. I always make sure I keep a couple of gallons in my truck for just that purpose. All right, what knife are we going to be doing review cutting with today? We've got, can you guys even see this? I think the sun's bad right now, but anyways, we've got the Exodus Knife and Tools Jackalope. I've been carrying this knife a lot recently, and I freaking love it. And honestly, I think I'm ready to give it a review. That's how much I've been carrying it. So let's go ahead and do just that. Let's go ahead and start off with the ergonomics. It is a narrow knife. I got freaking sweat and sunscreen in my eye. It's a narrow, kind of slender knife, but it's got a pretty substantial handle, very neutral, and you've got a lot of room on here. A whole bunch of different hand sizes are going to be happy with this. You can see here it's got some nice, palm swelling, very subtle, but it's nice. And yeah, the knife fits in your hand very, very well. These ergonomics work great. And again, big handle, lots of hand sizes are going to be able to enjoy it. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the carry. So here it is. The sheath has a couple different options. This is how I've been carrying it recently, just vertical. It's a small knife, so like it carries very, very nicely. The sheath itself is awesome. It comes with this little leather attachment so that you can wear it vertically, but it also comes with this little loop so you can wear it scout style or horizontally. This is what I set up. I've been enjoying this, so that's the way I have kept it. The sheath itself is not too grabby, but it does have very nice positive retention. It works just fine, in my opinion. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the blade. Drop point blade here, S35VN, fairly robust, full flat grind, pretty narrow. Does not come down to a super thin edge, but it's thin enough, I would say. Let's go ahead and grab some cardboard here. There we go. These knives are made by White River, or Bark River. No, White River. White River, my bad. So their heat treat protocol on the S35VN. It slices very nicely because of that full flat grind. Despite having a bit more robust geometry, this is going to be a great small game trout and fish or trout and bird knife type of thing. It's going to cut very well for you. All right, let's go ahead and do our rope pull. Effortless. And in case I didn't mention it, S35VN is my favorite steel. Shadows are in the way, of course. Sorry about that, guys. Here, we'll try and do like this. 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness, let's just keep going. Yeah, that crunched through beautifully, and a lot of that is because it's a little bit thicker on the stock and very robust geometry. So that's a great balance of strength and sliciness. I'm actually a huge fan of that. All right, pool noodle time. Let's get her, guys. 1, 2. Oh man. 3. Okay, so on that second one, I'm not sure if you could tell, but I went, whoa, get back here, extremely thin. And we did wobble a little bit. It wasn't completely straight. We did hang up a little bit, but look how thin I was able to go with that. For a knife with fairly robust blade stock and not very much room to get thin to the grind, that sliced beautifully. What does that tell me? That the geometry is done very well. You can have a knife that has a thicker spine, but if it's ground well, if the geometry is done smartly, it will cut and slice and it will feel very, very good. And indeed, this knife does. Very, very happy with that. Alrighty then, let's get back to the table, take a couple looks at that just really gorgeous knife. Let's go. Oh, come on, you gotta be kidding me. That might be the record for the most table sticks attempts ever. Alright, so I can't just make a video about a knife called the Jackalope and not touch on the folklore behind this critter. So a jackalope is a mix between an antelope and a jackrabbit, is where the name comes from. Although most jackalope mounts that you see feature deer antlers on top of like a snowshoe or cottontail rabbit. There's a couple of different ideas about where the legends of the jackalope originally came from. Jackalope is a pretty big symbol of the folklore of the American West in general. It's not as big a deal here in the Southwest where I live, although it is still very prolific. But it's very, very popular the more north you go, especially in Wyoming. In fact, the jackalope is the official mythological creature of Wyoming, I believe. There are a couple of indigenous legends, particularly from Central America, that involve stories of horned rabbits or hybrid creatures to some degree. But it's unlikely that those stories directly influence legends of the jackalope. A lot of other people will say that the jackalope was started as a cowboy joke, a prank between cowboys, or just kind of a running gag that they thought was funny back in the 1800s. That's also probably not true. The best origins of the jackalope actually date to the 1930s. It's very likely that stories of jackalopes were around before then, but in the 1930s, a couple of brothers who owned a bar and a taxidermy company, I believe, put some deer antlers on a rabbit, or they put deer antlers on a rabbit and sold it to a bar. They didn't run a bar. They were taxidermists and hunters, but they sold it to a bar. And since then, the jackalope has become super popular as kind of a prank for Westerners to play on, people from back east coming to visit and things like that. It's a very funny joke. I have played that joke on many people. In fact, right here on my review table, we have a small deer shed that I refer to as a jackalope shed. In fact, where I grew up, when you found I've actually got two of them out here, but when you find small sheds like that, we refer to them as jackalope sheds, just to be funny. And with this one, I once pranked an ex-girlfriend of mine, pranked. I kind of gaslit her into believing that jackalopes were real, which I found to be hilariously funny. Now again, the term jackalope is a mix of jackrabbit and antelope, but most jackalope iconography, again, is a cottontail with deer antlers rather than a jackrabbit with antelope horns. Antelope don't have antlers. Those are true horns. In fact, antelope are the only mammals that shed their horns. It's really, really weird. Antelope are actually just crazy animals in general. They're the last remaining species of a family that is otherwise extinct. Their closest living relatives are giraffes. We're not going to go into phylogenetics right now. But anyways, there's kind of the fun connection between the jackalope and the culture of the American West. Unlike a lot of American cryptids or folklores, the jackalope is not just a harmless creature, but it's also a creature that everyone kind of knows is a joke, unless you're trying to use it to prank someone who's never heard of a jackalope before. And of course, jokes like this are not in style in the modern era, right? People are too connected. But back in the early 1900s, or mid-1900s too, I guess, it was funny to go to a bar with your friend from back east, or maybe just your ignorant friend who doesn't know any better, and point to the jackalope mount on top of the bar and say, "Hey, you ever seen one of those? That's a jackalope. That's a horned jackrabbit." I guess I should also point out that there is a virus that causes rabbits to grow like weird, I don't know if they're like warts or something. Most of them like come off their cheeks and face and stuff. Can kind of look like horns. Maybe that contributed to the legend of the jackalope, but again, I think the simplest explanation for the spreading of the jackalope myth is those brothers who created a fake one and sold to a bar, and then that bar just started telling wild stories about this weird piece of taxidermy. And I love stuff like that. That's what America's all about. Alrighty guys, we are back. Let's go ahead and get into what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. Number one, I love the vibes on this knife. I really do. There's a lot about this knife that just kind of tickles my I don't even know, what was I trying to say there. I don't know. There's a lot about this knife that makes me giggle. First of all, the name Jackalope, I love that. You guys know I live in the Southwest. Jackalopes are kind of a big thing to our mythology and urban legends and stuff, so love seeing that represented here. I also love the colors here. I love colorful knives. I'm a huge fan of swirly, vibrant, colorful knife scales, and yeah, this looks great. I love the red Cerakote blade. There's just so much going on here that is fun. The red sheath, again, it's fun, right? There's not a whole lot of knives that have this kind of aesthetic. I mean, or at least not in my collection. We can compare this against something like that Civivi Storm Ridge from a little bit earlier. This knife is very serious, you know, all black, tactical, grrr, you know, takes itself very seriously. This knife it's having a little bit of fun, and I like that. Now, it's still a serious tool, and it's a hard worker, as we're going to find out here in a second, but it's fun, right? I like that. Zach made a comment. I posted a picture of this in my community page a while ago, and Zach made a comment kind of along the lines of, that knife gives off New Mexico vibes, and I agree. It really does. It does give off New Mexico vibes. And this whole company, Exodus, I like their vibe. They do a lot of outdoor kind of survival type of stuff, but they do it with, I mean, if you go to their website, they've got a certain personality that you don't really, that I haven't seen with a brand of this type before. Most, you know, like outdoor survival good brands, they take themselves so seriously. It's like, you know, hardened, grizzled veterans out surviving in the woods. But they're a little more, you know, we don't take ourselves that seriously. We're just trying to have fun. And I appreciate that. That's kind of a vibe I go for. So we spent enough time on that. Let's move on. I also really like the form of this knife. Very slender, very narrow. We've got a good chunky blade stock though. We've got good robust scales. On paper, I don't think I would like this knife as much. If I saw this on a website, I would not think, yeah, I'm going to go and pick that up. Because it looks like a steak knife, right? The profile looks like a steak knife. But as I used it and carried it, I realized that this is the perfect EDC knife for an outdoorsman. This is a kind of knife that can replace a pocket knife in a lot of ways, but you can also push it into some, you know, tasks that are more suited for a fixed blade that maybe you wouldn't want to trust to your folder. If you have this around camp, you can do a little bit of food prep. This is a great knife for breaking down small game and fish and things like that. This is a good knife for cutting rope, whittling, all kinds of very basic outdoor tasks. And maybe you don't want to have to keep switching between your folding knife and your fixed blade. This can handle a lot of, you know, the tasks that kind of sit in the middle of that Venn diagram. It carries very well. It disappears nicely. You can put this in your bag. Whatever you want to do, it rides in your belt good. It sits in your bag good. It's going to be great, right? I really, really appreciate that about this knife. Now, as for the actual performance itself, S35VN is my favorite steel. This S35VN held up pretty good through all my use. Full flat grind. Again, we have a thick stock. This is a robust knife. Let's bring out the PM2. Yeah, this is a robust knife. There's not a whole lot of distal taper, but it comes down to a decently thin edge, not a laser beam edge, but a decently thin edge. It does cut well. The geometry is done right. It's ground well. It's very consistent. This is a knife that will cut and slice effectively while still maintaining a certain degree of toughness. S35VN is not a super tough steel by any means, but it is a fairly tough steel. I enjoy the toughness on S35VN. Pair it with this kind of geometry, yeah, you're gonna have a knife that can really take a beating. But again, it still maintains a lot of sliciness. I was carrying this as an EDC knife just day to day, and it was fine for a lot of tasks, right? Got to cut a sandwich, it can do that. Break down some cardboard, no problem. Pop in some zip ties, there we go. And then I took it camping, and yeah, I could sit down, I could whittle some wood, I could make tent stakes. It handled everything just fine. So really, really like the performance here. The ergonomics, fantastic. Fantastic. I kind of wish there was a little bit of jimping up here, but the spine is sharp. It's got a 90-degree spine, so that kind of helps to lock your thumb in place. The handle, while thin and narrow, is wide, and it's shaped very well simply. It's got simple shapes to it, but they're well thought out, and this knife does lock into your hand very well, and it's super comfortable. Oh my gosh, this knife is so freaking comfortable. I could sit and work with this for hours. I really could. Big hardware, I believe these are T20s in here, or T15s. Love to see that. You can swap out your scales very easily if you want to do some customization and everything like that. So I think that's awesome. Let's talk about the sheath. Great retention. No rattle or anything. That rattling you hear is actually this. Out of the box, it came with this little strap so you could carry it, horizontally, which is fine. But they also include this little piece here that you can buy separately, or you can buy these on their site too, from Reliance Leather, where you can attach a sheath to it and wear it on your belt. And of course, if I want to, I could have taken this off and fastened the sheath here, so that drop it a little bit lower. This height worked for me though. I liked carrying it like this quite a bit, and this is a really interesting little system I haven't seen before. I also could have, threaded this through there. You can put a fire starter, a striker in here. I don't have one in there right now, but that's cool. It's kind of a minimalist, but highly functional, highly versatile, very customizable type of sheath system. And I really, really like it. In fact, it's kind of inspired me to start making things like this for some other knives in my collection. Or maybe I'll just buy a couple more from Reliance Leather and see if they work with other knives, because I really do like this kind of setup. Which is very, very nice. The sheath, again, excellent retention. You don't really have a thumb pad, but you have a place here where you can push off and get the knife out very nicely. Again, I like the red color. It's very good. Very, very cool sheath system. I'm a big, big fan of it. The lanyard hole. I have not been using a lanyard on here. I mean, there's enough room on this knife. I don't really need a lanyard, but I do like that they put it on the bottom instead of up on the top. That's going to help the lanyard kind of stay out of your way while you're using it. You can kind of wrap your pinky there instead of it bunching up in your palm. Just a smart move. And this knife is made in the USA, so go home team, right? I love to support that. As for negatives, I really don't have that many negatives. I mean, I guess I could point out that the Cerakote is chipping on the blade in places, but that's not something that I really care about, so I would feel dishonest and bring that up as a negative. Yeah, I really struggle to find anything to really complain about, which is probably a reason to just wrap this review up. So, price on these guys. If you go to the Exodus Knife and Tool website, these are about $280. This is the Chernobyl Fallout edition, I should point out, with this colorway. They call this the Chernobyl Fallout edition. They've got a couple different variants you can get this knife in. Do I think it's worth that price? That is a lot of money, right? There's no getting around it. That is a lot of money. Do I think you'll be happy with the knife? I do. It's made by White River. It's made in the USA, so that's obviously going to add a lot to the cost. The company, they're a small company. They're doing a lot of really, really cool things. I think that price is worth supporting them. Is a knife worth that much? I would say that might be a little bit expensive, but I would pay it. Can I recommend this knife? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Go support them. They seem like really cool people. I mean, gosh, you can get versions of their knives that have Lego scales that you can like stick minifigures to and stuff like that. They're so fun. It's so cool. I just love their vibe. Yeah, I can recommend them 100%. I can support them. Yeah. I also like their logo. It's pretty cool. And you can see we've got some. Oh, I guess that was just dirt that came off. But yeah, it's a cool knife. I really enjoy it. This is probably one of my favorite EDC knives now. Probably one of my favorite fixed blades of all time. In fact, it is. It's one of my favorite fixed blades of all time. I need to make an update to the video I made earlier this year about my top 15 favorite fixed blades. But yeah, this is a cool knife. Great user. And honestly, just kind of a feel-good piece. So yes, I recommend it. Go and get yourself one. And that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything they do for the channel. If you want to become a member and support me directly, there's a button down below where you can click to join. As for the rest of you hooligans, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.